Hello! Special greetings from Brazil to all of you. This presentation is entitled Contemporary Witch Hunts: How the Discourses of Institutional Health, Hegemonic Religion, and Industrial Capitalism Structure Racism and Sexual Oppression Against Women. Both presenters come from the Department of Language Studies at the Pontifical Catholic University of Rio de Janeiro. This one speaking is Clarissa França, a doctoral student, and I signed the analysis together with my advisor, Professor Liliana Cabral Bastos. The work we share here in this event connects to the following theoretical paradigms: applied linguistics, interactional sociolinguistics, narrative analysis, decolonial feminism, critical whiteness studies. And here we focus our analysis on a physician-patient interaction that occurs during an appointment for the prevention of breast cancer. Despite being a social meeting between two women, there is a central difference to our investigation. The physician is a white woman and the patient is a black one. The inspiration for our argument today comes from Silvia Federici's work on contemporary witch hunts, especially through two statements connected to Brazil and the discourse of medicine. Unfortunately, we don't have time to comment on this, but there are details in this slide that are available for anyone in this event. The most important to highlight here is that contemporary witches have race, class, and gender, and through this, we find a link between the contemporary witch hunts and the intersectional theory that also informs our analysis. Before going to the analysis, we think it is important to share a little bit more of the research context. For today, we selected a narrative performed by a patient to her doctor, and according to our reading, the main point of her speech is to frame her loneliness as a health issue. Our starting point is a qualitative and interpretivist research perspective informed by decolonial feminism. And so we understand the loneliness of a Black woman as an intersectional issue, which points out structural racism and gender oppression. We intend to provide answers to three research questions today. The first one is, what voices structure the disadvantage of Black women in the economy of affection? The second one is, the narrative under analysis is an index for what issues, if observed on a social frame. And the last one is, from the privileged social place of whiteness, what reflections could be productive to alleviate the problem presented by the narrator? Therefore, now we can read the excerpt. The patient starts. So, I've been my whole life alone since I had my son. I said that I didn't want anyone, that my time was just to take care of him. Thank God I don't regret it, because now he's a responsible, hard-working boy. Now, after he became an adult, I am more alone. I was alone. I was in a situation that I did not know what to do with my life. I was just sitting there doing nothing, not even things at home when I was alone. I didn't go out because I'm not much to go out. I just go to church. Sometimes I avoid even church parties. And now my body's missing it, right? Now I want to both laugh and the patient goes. And so the body too, but so I also want a companion. And the body is also screaming, but then I my doctor said, there at the family clinic, he said, no, miss, it is normal. But no, I know it's not easy because I'm not much to go out and it's not worth it to me. Just stay with anyone or in any way, then I have to wait. And both laugh again. Now the physician starts. Miss, so yeah, it was great to meet you. I think you are to be congratulated for all that you have done, the way you have led your life, and I think it is always time for us to reinvent ourselves, right? I mean, you took life in a way, you saw your son raised, now he's a good man, a responsible one in the struggle for life. So you are now reaping the fruits of your dedication, and now more than ever, it is time for you to dedicate yourself to your own. Isn't it true? Yeah. So thank God. Look, your health is good. The blood pressure is a tiny bit higher than normal, okay? It's 14. So, to open the analysis, let's focus on the first research question, namely, what voices structure the disadvantage of Black women in the economy of affections? And here, in these pairs of oppositions, we can see the voice of capitalism talking through both women when their speech supports the gender division of labor. The patient states, to take care, me, and to work, him, and the physician, the dedication, lady, the struggle for life, man. So, the woman takes care, the man works, and this is the voice of capitalism here. Still in the first question, we can see how the voice of hegemonic religion supports the voice of capitalism, how they both work together in this co-constructed section. The patient says, my time was just to take care of him. Thank God, I don't regret it. I was just sitting there doing nothing, not even things at home. I just go to church. Sometimes I avoid even church parties. And the physician, I think you are to be congratulated for all that you have done, the way you have led your life. Thank God your health is good. So here we can see unpaid reproductive work justified by Christian morals. And there are two voices operating, the voice of capitalism and the voice of religion together. Once again, the voice of religion seems to justify a behavior, this time the isolation of the patient. The patient says, I've been my whole life alone since I had my son. Now, after he became an adult, I am more alone. I was alone. I'm not much to go out. I just go to church. Sometimes I avoid even church parties. Pleasure control, voice of religion. Next, we highlight what we perceive as the point of the narrative, the reason why the patient chose to tell that to her doctor during a medical consultation and not to a religious leader in her church, for example. The patient says, I want a companion and the body is also screaming. I already went, my doctor at the family clinic said. It's not worth it to me just stay with anyone or in any way. Loneliness as a health issue, voice of life world. And the last topic of the section of the first question is how the doctor reframes this narrative as a personal anecdote with no meaning for health, silencing the patient. The physician says, it was great to meet you. It is always time for us to reinvent ourselves. It is time for you to dedicate yourself to your own, isn't it true? Your health is good. Here we see the practice does not meet the integral health paradigm, and this is the voice of medicine operating here. Now we open the second section of the analysis, trying to construct social meanings for what we noticed before. The question that guides our work here is: the narrative under analysis is an index for what issues if observed on a social frame. For this, we read the single narrative of the loneliness of a Black woman as a representative of the forces that marginalize an entire social group. And so, the same story can be read as an account of structural racism and sexual oppression. Adding to that comes the third section of the analysis, in which we focus on the racial difference between patient and physician. Our question is: from the privileged social place of whiteness, what reflections could be productive to alleviate the problem presented by the narrator? The point here is to present unaware whiteness on one hand as an impediment to empathic listening, and on the other hand as a condition conducive to narcissistic listening. Thus, we say that whiteness prevents her, the doctor, from processing the content narrated by the Black woman as an integral health issue. Whiteness makes her silence the Black woman's narrative of suffering and reframes that as a personal anecdote. Whiteness prevents her from asking medical questions in the co-construction of the narrative, making referrals to other professionals, questioning the disempowered perspectives brought by the patient. Whiteness prevents her from attending to the patient as a woman like her, who wants attention, affection, and pleasure. So, if the first frame of our story is an individualized one, the second points out social problems, and the third frame points out what we need to attack if we want to solve the problem. Actually, according to intersectional terms, structural racism and sexual oppression are just one side of a singular problem that has whiteness on its other side. And that's what we see in this diagram. So, resuming Federici's words, if we notice the potency of the patient's discourse, we can also understand that it was hunted during that interaction. To end up our sharings today, we would like to promote an interface between applied linguistics and narrative analysis, offering some reflexive questions. How to promote integral health in practice beyond the beautiful words? What are the particularities and limits of the medicine practiced by whiteness? How can the recognition of social causes, the skin of economic, racial, gender, religious oppressions, contribute to the treatment of psychophysical health problems? And here you can find details about our bibliographical references and information on how to stay in touch. Thank you so much for the attention and opportunity.